What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Hoops Reference YouTube channel, where I upload at least twice a week, so make sure you subscribe below if you're a new viewer. Today, we're going to be going back in time to 2016 and analyze that year's draft class. For most of the prospects, we have a year and a half of observing them as NBA players and getting a better understanding of how they are as players at this level. So we're going to be going back and doing a redraft based on how those players have performed thus far and how they will develop moving forward. Some teams probably wish they could do this in real life, while others are ecstatic about the players that they drafted at the time. So with that being said, let's get right into it. With the first pick in the draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Ben Simmons. This really shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that Simmons is still the top pick from the class. Not only is he the best prospect from this class, but he's also probably the best prospect from the last two drafts combined, seeing as he is the current favorite for Rookie of the Year. After missing the entire 2016 season, there were questions about Simmons' upside and whether or not he would be hampered as a player because of the injury. But through 45 games, Simmons looks every bit like the real deal that Philly was promised at the time. He's averaging 16.6 points, 7.9 rebounds, 7.4 assists, 1.8 steals, and 0.9 blocks per game, while shooting 52.1% from the field. His incredible versatility has not only been what orchestrates the Sixers' offense, but his defensive versatility is a major reason that the Sixers currently have the third best defense in the league. It's easy to credit defensive specialists Joel Embiid and Robert Covington for this, but Simmons has done a terrific job defending the 1 through 4 spot on the court on a nightly basis. He obviously has areas to improve, such as outside shooting, but everything else he brings to a team makes him an obvious choice for the first pick. With the second pick in the draft, the Los Angeles Lakers select Jaylen Brown. This pick was very difficult because Brandon Ingram, who was the actual pick at this spot in 2016, has improved immensely this season, but Brown's production has been higher on a lower usage, and he's been the better defensive player on the floor, and ultimately his two-way play gave him the edge over Ingram for me. In his second year, he's averaging 14.2 points, 5.5 rebounds, and 1.1 steals per game, while shooting 46.2% from the field and 37.9% from three. He's been very efficient in his role on the first-place Celtics team, and his athleticism has made him very difficult to stop at times as a fourth option on the squad, but his defense is his biggest contribution to the Celtics. At 6'7", with a 225-pound body, his length and athleticism make him a very good on-ball defender. He is currently forcing players to shoot a whopping 7.2% worse from the field when he guards them, showing the effect that he has on opposing players. With the third pick in the draft, the Boston Celtics select Brandon Ingram. As I mentioned in the last selection, picking between Brown and Ingram was a very close call, so the latter of the two will only fall one pick down in the order. Brandon Ingram may not be a consistent player yet on either side of the ball, but what he does have going for him is star potential. He has, on numerous occasions, shown flashes of potential greatness. He just isn't capable of putting it together on a nightly basis. And honestly, he shouldn't have to yet, as he's only 20 years old. He averages 15.4 points, 5.4 rebounds, and 3.4 assists, while shooting 45% from the field and 33.8% from three. Ideally, you would want that three-point percentage to be a little bit higher, but as I said earlier, he is only 20 years old, and it's higher than what it was last year by 4.4%, so it is good to see improvement in that regard. Also, keep in mind that the Celtics didn't have Jason Tatum yet, so taking Ingram would probably still be in the best interest of the Celtics, even though him and Tatum do have similar skill sets. With the fourth pick in the draft, the Phoenix Suns select Jamal Murray. The Suns have had Devin Booker for 3 years now, and they have yet to find a permanent partner for him in the backcourt. Enter Jamal Murray, and they instantly have one of the highest upside backcourts in the league. He played through injuries most of his rookie season, but as a sophomore, he's shown flashes of a guard capable of scoring in high bunches. He's already scored 20 or more points in 17 of his 48 games so far this year. Now, all he needs now is consistency, which comes with time. He shoots 45% from the field and 37.4% from three, which is pretty good for a guard. And if he was on the Suns, he would provide another scoring option for a team that ranks only 27th in team offense. With the 5th pick in the draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Malcolm Brogdon. The biggest issue with the Timberwolves currently is depth, and Brogdon would have helped in that regard. They currently bring Tyus Jones and Jamal Crawford off the bench at the guard spots, and if they drafted Brogdon, who won Rookie of the Year by the way, they probably wouldn't have needed to go out and sign Jamal Crawford this offseason. Brogdon is a jack-of-all-trades role player who excels on both ends of the floor and does his job very well. He's by no means a star, but he does shoot the ball efficiently and play good defense, which are two areas that the Timberwolves have room to improve. Their best shooters from three are their center Karl Towns and their backup power forward. After that, their next best three-point shooter only shoots a mediocre 36.4%. Brogdon shot 40.4% from three last year and currently shoots 38.6% from three this year, making him the type of player that Coach Tibbs would love to have in his rotation. With the 6th pick in the draft, the New Orleans Pelicans select Kris Dunn. Kris Dunn is a prime example of why you don't give up on rookies after only 1 year. After struggling mightily in his first year in the league, he looks like an entirely different player this year. Part of that might have to do with aging and gaining a full year's worth of experience, and part of it might have to do with him getting a change of scenery, as he was traded from Minnesota to Chicago this offseason. If he was picked by New Orleans, he would have had Anthony Davis immediately to work with as an elite big man to run pick and rolls with. Assuming the Boogie trade still happens too, although that's not necessarily ideal because different players would have had to have been involved, but just for the sake of argument, assuming it happens too, that would have given him a second elite big man to help make his job as point guard even easier. Also, if the team drafted Dunn, they would have had no reason to sign Rajon Rondo this offseason. Dunn has especially come on strong in the last 21 games, averaging 15 points, 8 assists, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.2 steals. He's been running the offense better than anyone thought the Bulls' offense could be run, and actually led them to a 13-8 record in that span. Being able to learn from a former All-Star in Jrue Holiday may have sped up his development from the beginning and gotten him to the level that he's now at during his rookie year. With the 7th pick in the draft, the Denver Nuggets select Dejounte Murray. Since the Nuggets can no longer take Jamal Murray, they will still be in need of a point guard, and with this pick, jumping from having originally picked 29th overall by the Spurs to 7th overall now is Dejounte Murray. Murray is still very young and raw with his game, but he's shown enough poise and upside to get Greg Popovich, the best coach in the history of basketball, to believe in him enough to give him the permanent starting job in San Antonio. His numbers don't necessarily jump off the screen, averaging only 6.9 points, 5 rebounds, and 2.7 assists per game on 42.9% shooting. But what he does bring to the team is a long, athletic, 6'5" bundle of energy at the point guard spot, specifically on the defensive end. Seeing as the Nuggets are only 19th in the league in defense, they could sure use a guy like Murray moving forward. With the 8th pick in the draft, the Sacramento Kings select Buddy Hield. Funny enough, Buddy Hield drops to the Kings in the redraft. In actuality, he was the primary acquisition in the trade where the Kings shipped DeMarcus Cousins to the Pelicans, but perhaps that trade doesn't happen in a world where the Kings can draft Buddy Hield. Hield has his flaws, sure, but the one thing that scouts were sure of coming out of college in regards to Hield is that he can shoot the lights out, and that is exactly what he's done in his short career thus far. He averages 12.5 points on 44.1% shooting from the field, but makes a scorching hot 43.6% of his threes this year. He may not quite be someone capable of making plays for others or off the dribble, but when you can make threes at that high of a clip, you still have plenty of value in the league, and the Kings would be glad to take him back on their team to potentially pair with Cousins in this go-round. With the 9th pick in the draft, the Toronto Raptors select Domantas Sabonis. After spending a year in Oklahoma City, being put in positions that don't play to his skill set, Sabonis is finally breaking out as a solid NBA player now that he is in Indiana. The reason that Toronto would draft him at this spot in a redraft is because the team was still looking for a power forward at the time because they had not yet traded for Serge Ibaka, and Sabonis' skill set would be a good fit on the team. This year, he is averaging 12.6 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists per game, while shooting 53.6% from the field and 36% from 3. He's a skilled power forward, capable of stretching the floor to the three-point line as long as he's not forced into being a three-point shooter primarily, like he was way too often when he was in Oklahoma City. He's a solid on the glass, efficient in the post, and an underrated passer at his position. Putting him alongside guys like Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan would have been a solid fit at the time. With the 10th pick in the draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Taurean Prince. The Bucks absolutely love long, athletic wing players that can play both sides of the ball, and that's exactly what Taurean Prince is. The team already has a solid starting unit, so having a guy like Prince back up Giannis Antetokounmpo would have been a great idea in hindsight. Prince averages 12.2 points, 5.1 rebounds, and 2.3 assists, while shooting 39.5% from 3. Standing at 6'8", Prince's 3-and-D capabilities have made him one of the few bright spots on a struggling Atlanta Hawks squad, and if he were in Milwaukee, he would have definitely thrived alongside guys like the Greek Freak and soon-to-return Jabari Parker, who take pressure off of other players on the floor. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you subscribe below and leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. I upload at least twice a week, so stay tuned for that, and follow me on social media @HoopsReference for updates and more. See you next video.